Well, hello, and welcome to my latest video. Now, what am I holding in my hands? What is Julian holding in his hands, indeed? This is, and you'll recognise this, if you like your indoor turbo workouts, you will know Zwift. I am a massive fan of Zwift. I'm not a bandwagon jumper. I was on Zwift probably about 4 years ago. In the early days, I was using Zwift when it was free. So I wouldn't say I was the first adopter, but I was one of the earliest adopters. And if you are new to indoor cycling, if you're thinking of getting into indoor cycling, if you have watched any videos on YouTube, you have almost certainly seen an advert for Zwift. And Zwift is an indoor training platform, and it is really a lot of fun. If you would like to follow me on Zwift, by the way, my name is Julian Hutchings, as you know. You can find me on Zwift. If you follow me on Zwift, and if you leave a comment in the comments below of your Zwift name, assuming you're on Zwift, I will organise a group ride for all you people who like watching my videos, and we can ride in the virtual world and enjoy ourselves. And yes, we'll have a fine old time. Not wearing a hat today. I've got, I seem to have developed Boris Johnson's hair. And Boris Johnson's hair is a little bit like the picture of Dorian Gray. In other words, the madder his hair gets, the madder Boris Johnson gets. So as his brain starts to disintegrate and fray at the edges, the hair starts to become agitated, and it can no longer retain its space in its skull, and so it starts to creep out, and it starts to agitate the molecules like this. So it goes crazy. And that's what's happened to me. My Boris Johnson hair has gone crazy. So I've left off the hat today because it can't be contained. Or rather, the hat can't contain the hair. So, and the t-shirt, by the way, new t-shirt, not a new t-shirt, but possibly new to you. This is a t-shirt advertising Marmot Tours. If you are interested in taking a cycling holiday in Europe, once restrictions are lifted, Marmot Tours is a wonderful company. I have no connection with them other than the fact that I've been on a number of tours, and I really enjoy them, but I also think they organise them really well. So marmottours.co.uk, look them up and give them some business. They need it in these difficult times, and you need a cycling break when it's possible for you to do so. So, moving on swiftly. What are we talking about today? We're talking about Zwift. And if you know your Zwift, you will know that some of the riding, and the first riding that you could do was in a magical, artificial place that they called Watopia. But now, as Zwift has developed, you can ride in London, you can ride in Richmond in the United States, you can ride in France, you can ride in Innsbruck in Austria. They have a number of different courses, and you choose which course you want to ride. But Zwift is expanding. Yes, they are introducing new worlds, and they contacted me the other day. They sent me an email. The email was to my email address, and it said, "Dear Mr. Hutchings," which I thought was rather formal. And they've said, normally we give our new stuff to DC Lama and GP Rainmaker, but we think that you have some really great viewers, and we would like you to present some of our new worlds that are going to be available on the next download. And I said, well, thank you, Mr. Zwift. I thought that was an odd name, but anyway, if you're thinking of naming your child Zwift, Zwifty Lazar was an agent, I think, in Hollywood, although he spelt it with an S as opposed to a Z. It's amazing what you can learn on this channel. So, what are these new worlds? Well, the first world is called Rumitania. And Rumitania is it's not a real place. Is anywhere a real place? There's a moral philosophical conundrum for you. Rumitania is a mythical kingdom in Central Europe, let's say the Balkans, and it was the setting for a truly wonderful film which I really enjoyed as a child, based on a novel by Anthony Hope which is called The Prisoner of Zenda. And it was really exciting, swashbuckling stuff. There was a goodie, there was a baddie who was called Black Michael, and there was a love interest. I can't remember who played the love interest. I was too young to be interested in that sort of thing when I first watched the film. And there was a follow-up to The Prisoner of Zenda. I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, Rumitania. You ride through Balkan landscapes. You ride through Baroque cities, you ride through castles like Mad King Ludwig II of Bavaria, and you interact with the Prisoner of Zenda, and if you unlock through achieving certain distances or certain climbs, you can assist the Prisoner of Zenda to escape. You can chase after, although you will never catch, the love interest. And you can generally have a really good time. So Rumitania, it's what's the word? It's escapism. What's the word? What's the word? It's escapism. Yes, escapism of the first order. The second one they've introduced, and this is a little bit dull if I'm honest, this is called Gravelia. And what is Gravelia? It is, you can only ride on gravel. Yes, so you ride on, you know what gravel is? It's kind of like little stones of a whitish, brownish, greyish colour, which when it rains turns to mud. So it's a rutted surface. You have to ride with people who are interested in gravel riding. Gravel riders are fairly serious in my book. They don't take much to my brand of humour, and they ride gravel bikes. What's a gravel bike, you will ask? Well, the gravel bike is just a bike, but it's called a gravel bike. It has fairly fat tyres. That's a mountain bike. No, it isn't. It has drop handlebars. That's a road bike. No, it isn't. It has low gears. That's a climber's bike. No, it isn't. You put those three things together and you give it a name like gravel bike, and there you are. You've got a gravel bike. So if you've got a gravel bike, if you are thinking of buying a gravel bike, if you have decided that a gravel bike is the next best thing and you want to go on Zwift, then Gravelia is the world for you. Now, the third one they've introduced is Myopia. Yes, I always thought that that was a fairly short-sighted way of describing a new world, but that's the way that they've chosen to do it. And what's special about Myopia? It's very difficult to see. Everything is a little bit blurred. Everything is a little bit distant. Everything is kind of over there. It's like a trade deal between the EU and the UK. It's over there somewhere. We're going to get to it, and when we get to it, it's going to be wonderful, and the sky is going to shine, and the blue is going to... No, that's wrong, isn't it? The sky is going to be blue, the sun is going to shine, and everything is going to be hunky-dory except for the poor people. But that's, that's what they call unintended consequences, okay? One of the unintended consequences of Brexit, I'm sorry to disappear onto a political black hole here, is that the poor people are going to get poorer and the rich people are going to get richer. Now, that wasn't an unintended consequence for the rich people, but they didn't tell the rest of us that. So, who would be rich? Scott Fitzgerald said, the rich are just like us, and Hemingway said, yes, they've got more money. That's Myopia. Steer clear if you can see it. Netflixia. Now, I like Netflixia, and I think Netflixia is a really clever idea. I'm saying it as if I thought of it. I didn't think of this one, actually. This was mentioned in the comments. They said, Netflixia. What is Netflixia? Well, you choose any film ever made in any country, anywhere in the world, ever. You load that into Zwift, and then you ride in that particular environment. that world. So if you choose Star Wars, if you're mad enough or dull enough to choose Star Wars, then you ride through space. If you choose The Godfather, then you ride through a kind of mafia-infested New York. If you ride through, if you choose Dunkirk, then you ride over water. If you choose the bridge on the River Kwai. Yes, if you choose Bridge on the River Kwai, then you ride across a kind of railway track and you lose a lot of weight on the way. If you choose Lawrence of Arabia, you ride through a lot of dry deserts. If you choose, you get the idea. If you choose Love Actually, you ride through a kind of romanticised view of London with Hugh Grant and Emma Thompson and Alan Rickman and anybody else who's died, who nips around you and says hello and says Love Actually in that kind of silly way that they say. If you choose Brief Encounter, you ride along through a kind of a rather dull, grey, rainy English town, but there is a romance at the end of it. If you choose, well, I think you get the idea, don't you? You choose whatever film you would like to watch, you download it onto your computer, and then you cycle through that world, and that is Netflixia. The next world, I think, is a really interesting one, and this is based on a film which I think came out in the 60s. So you could probably do this in Netflixia, and it's called Fantastic Voyage. Fantastic Voyage was a film where the scientists, I don't think they were mad scientists, I think they were just scientists. There was a particularly important person who had a blood clot, and the only way that they could get rid of this blood clot was to take some scientists and shrink them down really small, and then they would inject them into this person who had the blood clot, and they would make their way in this miniature submarine until they found the blood clot, and then they would shoot it with a laser, a tiny little laser, and they would destroy the blood clot, and that would save the man's life. And I thought it was incredibly, a really clever film. Donald Pleasance was in it. He played the baddie, and Raquel Welch was in it, and she played Raquel Welch, funnily enough, and did it rather well, if I may say so. Disappearing on a tangent there, Nigel. This is not that kind of video. So what happens in Fantastic Voyager in Zwift is you ride through the human body. Yes, you ride along veins, you ride along arteries, you ride up the arms, you make your way down to the ends of the fingers, you go down the legs, you go into the toes, you go up the nostrils, you go down the throat, you go around the heart and you miss a beating heart, you go into the brain, and if you download the extra patch, you can get Dominic Raab's brain, which is a nice kind of, it's like an empty space. It's like an orb. It's like a glowing orb, although the glow is all gone. And where you can't go, and they've removed this. They've removed genitalia, by the way, unless you have done a million meters of climbing on Zwift. Then you can get genitalia, and you can add that to Fantastic Voyager, and it is a special addition to the game, I can tell you that, Nigel. The last one they've introduced, and this is a special one for the real die-hard Zwifters out there, people like me, people like GP Rainmaker, people like DC Llama, and it's just a gamia. Right? It's not the future of cycling. It's not going to change everything. It's not how we're going to spend our lives. We're not going to be in our bloody pain caves on our turbos, riding our bicycles with virtual friends in Singapore and Venezuela and South Africa. It's just a game. So it's just a gamia. Takes you back to the beginning, like the parable of the fisherman's wife. It takes you back to just Watopia. A single world where you ride your turbo because you can't be asked to go out in the rain and the cold, and you're a Billy no mates, so you think, I know, I'll get so fit on my turbo that nobody will ever be able to keep up with me, and I'll let you into a secret. They don't want to keep up with you because they don't want to ride with you. So get off your turbos, get out into the rain, get out into the cold weather, get out into tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 1 or wherever you happen to live, and enjoy your cycling, and leave Zwift for those of us who really enjoy it. It's just a game. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.